It's been a really long time since we've given you one of these. They've been in short supply. No, we're not talking about Adderall. We're talking about the drug known as a deep steel blue pill. I've been looking all week because I am so sad and depressed when it comes to covering this Houston Texans team. They ruined my Christmas. And I am holding that, and I will hold it forever, especially if they lose Saturday, because it will be the Letterman jacket light game if they are not able to shake off the cobwebs and get at least a playoff victory to improve to 6-2 in our favorite spot of the football season, the Saturday at 3:30 slate at NRG Stadium of the wild card weekend. And I think I found some deep steel blue pills for you. Found them in the pocket. Are they perhaps broken in half? Do we even know what's in them?
Are they expired?
Do they expire?
Great question.
Another great question. I don't know. What I do know is, yeah, baby, we got a couple for you to get you pumped for Saturday. Texas Swarm!
Oh, it's been so long.
Kind of feels wrong.
Feels wrong, but it feels good.
Hey, first, Joe Mixon, Texans running back, did an interview with Chancellor Johnson of Channel 2, KPRC. Guess who he compared C.J. Stroud to? The best quarterback in the NFL in 2024.
I love the fact that I was fortunate enough to play in Cincinnati with Joe Burrow. I mean, obviously, I hate to sit here and compare and contrast, but, the way that Joe, he, came to work each and every day, bro, and was on top of the details, I see that a lot in CJ and certain things that I feel like CJ can, progress at. I'm not saying that he don't have it because I think he has all the God-given abilities, but to really, up his game in terms of like sharpen it, iron sharpening iron, I think that, I had like little wisdom and little tips to really tell him it's like, hey, like, when the play break down, scramble and, don't just throw it out. You know what I'm saying? Go scramble, go make a play, like be you, because that's really him.
I do like as that answer goes on. Yeah, I watched Joe Burrow play, and I told CJ, you could be more like Joe, who has put together one of the most impressive seasons we've seen a quarterback put together in a while, where CJ Stroud has not.
No, I think he's right though.
That's true. CJ Stroud, Joe Burrow, I don't know the difference.
And there is
two Ohio State quarterbacks.
That's true. CJ's got all of it. It's been a tough year. It's not all his fault. Like there's offensive line. There's like obviously we've made our stance clear on the offensive coordinator issue. He's having a bad year. But he's still got all that top 5 potential that's in there for sure. I don't. Is he a top 5 quarterback? No, not right now.
Not right now.
Probably not top 10 right now.
But it's a comma, not a period.
Yeah.
Like Rick Smith once said.
Okay, we can't trying to pump people up.
Yeah.
Can't bring up Rick Smith.
What Joe
unfulfilled promise.
What Joe Mixon said right there. Joe Burrow, C.J. Stroud. Yeah. Stroud reminds me of Burrow.
He threw in an iron sharpens iron too, for no reason.
No, well, they were giving out those T-shirts earlier in the year.
I saw
when we still had dreams and hopes.
I kind of would like to see CJ just like instead of, as Joe Mixon said though, instead of just like running out of bounds or just throwing out of bounds, just like go for it. I mean,
he's done that a little bit more.
Swing away.
If they're gonna go far in the playoffs this year, he has to do what he did against Georgia.
That's
like he has to play like he did at Ohio State, where he just in that game where he kind of opened everyone's eyes. He was running, he was just taking what was in front of him, he was taking shots down the field. You just got to kind of say screw it, like just go for it.
Yeah, and I get why that's hard to do over a full season to do that when that's not your game, when you're not Lamar Jackson, but. I think in a big spot, like I do wonder if we see that kind of, maybe not that level of play of how good he was, but that style of play of back in college when he was playing against Ohio State or playing against Georgia at Ohio State.
So you guys starting to believe?
I believe
this was a good appetizer.
Yeah, this is a good start.
Okay. Well, how about this? Former Houston Texans quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick was on with Ryan Russillo on a podcast yesterday, and oh boy, he loves him some CJ Stroud.
The first thing I'll say about him is when he throws the football, it is more effortless than anybody in the NFL. It's if I'm teaching my kids how to throw a football, I want to have them watch CJ Stroud throw a ball. It is unbelievable the way that it comes out of his hand. I think he had an amazing year last year, gone through some struggles this year, but they still got into the playoffs. We think about how far they've come in the last 2 years from what it was before he got there to what it is now.
Mm?
Effortless CJ Stroud.
The kids should be following CJ's example.
His 17 kids should all throw like.
No, it's
CJ
not
Stroud.
Phillip Rivers.
Ryan Fitzpatrick does have a lot of
It's
kids.
like-
Does Fitzy?
It's like 6 or 7.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was chasing that Phillip Rivers life.
Yeah.
He's got a few. Also, I didn't know he had a little twang to him. He's a Harvard man with a little twang.
Where's he from?
Good question. I honestly don't know. I would assume.
Citizen of the earth.
I'm going to guess Pennsylvania. It's a very Pennsylvania name.
Arizona.
Okay. Not even
Close.
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 not remotely close.
Penn State played in the Fiesta Bowl.
Two
so
key
that's how
yeah.
you got the wires.
Yeah,
crossed.
sure. No, I was a wild guess. I could not have been more off. So those are a couple of deep steel blue pills for you, and hopefully that'll make you believe in the Houston Texans.
Do you believe?
I mean,
That's a no.
more than I did on Monday, but again, I was operating as if they were dead already. They're going to be wearing, speaking of deep steel blue pills, they're going to be wearing all deep steel blue Saturday.
Okay.
Color rush for the playoffs.
Well, it's not the color rush
I know.
because they got the red, the candy painted red ones that they tweet so cringily about.
Why didn't they wear those on Christmas? I know this is
It would have
segment
matched
from 2 years
I
ago or
agree.
2 weeks ago. But
I agree.
Why didn't they do that?
They played well in those when they played the Lions. They should never wear the H-Town Blues. Although they beat the Bills.
They beat the Bills.
But they lost to the Ravens thing. I don't know if you can wear them next year. Again, varsity Letterman jacket light.
I think you're 1-1. You got small sample size. You're 0-1 in the red candy paints.
Okay.
I mean, the quarterback you played against threw 5 picks and you lost.
But it's the 1 seed in the NFC.
5 picks and lost. It's not great.
Joe, you saw this post on X from Ben on to top. He wrote this. Bonda, right. He's a big, very loud.
Yeah.
Really, really, really loud Astros fan. He's a nice guy, but he's tad aggressive online to the point where if you haven't actually talked to him privately, you're like, do I want to watch a game with you? Whatever. He had this post. All things considered, D'Amico Ryans going 10-7 in both of his first 2 seasons here is pretty impressive given how this thing looked when he got here. I'm a believer in D'Amico, and I think he's building something special with this defense.
I mean, yeah, and Ryan Fitzpatrick kind of said the same thing there about, back-to-back 10-win seasons after where they started. Are we being too harsh?
Well, I did cut out the part where Ryan Fitzpatrick talked about how the morale's down and Texans offensive players are hurt. We're not going to play that. It's a deep steel blue pill.
This is a happy segment.
Look, I can understand if you take a look at the big picture and see how far they have come from that spot. Sure, but it's different. Like that's why I'm not happy. That's why I'm not excited. That's why I'm getting in fights on X with Steph Stradley, who's telling me, like, you need to chill, man. No, I'm pissed. I'm pissed because they've underachieved.
Yeah.
And not just based off of what the expectations were on the outside. I really thought that they had upgraded in a serious way. And yeah, tougher schedules, first place. They've played NFC North teams this year. The NFC North is the best division in the NFL, even with the Bears. But I mean, I feel like they've left so much on the table. They've not scored touchdowns when they could have. They've been in position to, and they shoot themselves in the foot. And there's a lot of woulda, shoulda with this team where you go back into those games, and had they been blown out a few times, it would seriously be more disappointing. But what's frustrating is that they have been hanging around so often, and they just, outside of against the Bills, where they barely closed the door, they can't close the door on offense. It has to be the defense making the big stop at the end. And it's hard to do that in today's NFL, to rely on your defense to come up with the stop against the teams that you're going to be playing the next couple of weeks. Best case scenario.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think it's the expectations for the season are feel like they're going to be not met. Like, it does not feel like they're going to get to the place that many of us thought they were going to grow to. But I think to the point of the tweet, it's like when we do look back, like from the big picture perspective, they are still headed in a very positive direction overall. Yes, they play in a terrible division, and I don't know. I don't really have any clue what our expectations are going to be for them for next season. Like, based off what happened this year, you have back-to-back 10-win seasons, and then, but it still feels like a massive disappointment. Like, I don't know how we're gonna look to them next year, but they still have accomplished a lot in 2 years. And if we overhyped it, they overhyped it, and that's why the season feels like it's come short. But I just still feel like we have to kind of recognize what they've accomplished and turned around in 2 years is impressive.
It is. I just don't. You know what? I'll save it for May.
Yeah.
I'll save it for May when I'm looking for a zag.
Yeah, I understand.
We're in March. Like right now, I don't want to hear it. Like, figure it the F out and don't lose.